So RunSignUp's greatly supported the volunteer management of OTTO Run. So over 20 years, no staff at this organization. Very grassroots. I love the term earlier, scrappy, like we're super scrappy. We finally, the race, the biggest thing that it has done for us is hopefully allowed me to turn over the race management next year. So for me, that's huge. For the organization, it's huge, and for the community, it's huge. So let's just look at some of our numbers. So the first year that we had hoped to have 250 people, the university said, oh no, you're gonna have more, like 500. So we said, okay, we'll order 500 medals. Well, 8 weeks before the race, during Chinese New Year, I'm trying to reach Ashworth, and they're like, well, we'll put a rush on it, but we were able to get 1,000 medals sent to us, and thankfully, because we did take packet pickup registrations, late registrations, and we ended up exceeding the amount of medals we even had. So that was a good problem to have, but we were also sad about that, so we ordered more after. A note on that, very, very, very few people pick up the medals after the race. They didn't ask us to mail them, but I still have some from the first race. We had 185 volunteers. We live near 2 Navy bases in California. And we had, a couple weeks before the race, about 50 people signed up to help us, and we knew we needed about 100. And the Navy stepped up, and that morning delivered us 100 bodies. Just, here, put us somewhere, ma'am. You know, and it was like, wow, I don't have that many t-shirts. Okay, but they were in uniform the first year. The second year, they weren't allowed to wear their uniforms, and that cost us $5 a shirt. So think about that. And so anyway, donations and sponsorships, 23,000 the first year, grew to 38,000, and then 48,000. So we could have done better on that, but again, because we don't have one person dedicated to it, we're a small group of volunteers, and our gross profit this last year being $130,000. So RunSignUp has helped us through the website and through the race modality raise over $300,000 in 3 years. I mean, yeah. So we've kind of come across a commodity within our system, and I'm going to speak to the National Autism Society about taking on this type of program nationwide. So in the near future, some of you timers may get calls to support the group. Just heads up, be supportive, and tell them to network with me about stuff, but it does take a while, a little bit of hand-holding for this community that's not used to running, not used to racing, and has family members who are on the spectrum with sensory challenges. So you can imagine the noise of a race, the crowds. I mean, I was freaking out on Benjamin Franklin Parkway the other night because the fireworks weren't going off at 9:30 and we were out there till 11:30. Our kids on the spectrum wouldn't have been able to handle that. So to put on this kind of race, you're dealing with issues that other races aren't typically having to deal with. Another thing I wanted to point out in terms of nonprofits and partnering with charities is sometimes too much isn't a good thing. And we learned that in our second year because we partnered with the Ventura Marathon, and that went well. And another race heard about our huge numbers, and they said, well, partner with us. Well, what happened was you end up getting to this saturation point. So they wanted us because they wanted us to send out emails to all of our families and friends and participants and all of that, because there's an established email base of 3,000 people right there. But we didn't have very many people attend their race, and most of our fundraisers don't want to fundraise year round, and I know, I did Susan G. Komen, Avon, all that, and you can only hit up your family and friends, so often. So there is that point for any charity where, your participants, your individuals who support you are going to say like, enough, once a year is great for us, and we learned that in 2014. So ways you can leverage strategic partnerships, expo booth swaps. We earned the nickname Sleeper Hit of the Year, something like that. Like basically the race that people didn't hear about that was huge. And I thought that was like a nice little compliment for our first year. And so because of that, we all of a sudden got hit this last year with, can we have a free booth at your race? Because they want the exposure to all of our runners. And so I think we comped like 6 to 8, other race booths, and email blast to supporters, goodie bag insert. We do have a bag that we get made for like 78 cents or something like that with the logo, again with the marketing year round for people with the logos. Officially recognized sponsor charity. of course. You know, our biggest ones have been Starbucks. Sam's Club has come through huge for us. I don't know if you have that out here, but it's like a Costco division of Walmart. They've done our water, our bananas, I mean, so much. Volunteer recruitment is a big one, why you should partner with charities. We can help you recruit volunteers. I love the examples thrown out earlier by Pittsburgh because that is also done in the holiday race that we had challenges partnering with. Every mile of their half marathon, they have a different school. They have a different school doing a water station every mile, and then at the end of the race, as the runner, because we've run it now 4 or 5 times, we get an email, and then we get to vote on the school's booth that we like the most, and then that school gets the check from that race. And I love that idea, that's wonderful. Volunteer recruitment, referrals for race suppliers. That was a huge deal for us at the beginning in partnering with our timer. He was able to talk to us about, you know, where to go for the best deal on shirts, medals, awards, and all of that.